Hi, I'm Daniel Bridge, the Armchair Model Railroader, and welcome back to another episode of How I Would Model Grand Central Terminal. I've been working on a plan for how to make Grand Central Terminal, and I've had a lot of different drawings on the way to this one. But we'll come back to this one in just a moment. I just want to show you some other designs that I made previous to this one. So, welcome back. This is Grand Central Terminal's mess up. I messed this up pretty bad. I was attempting to draw the tracks that go down to what was called Grand Central Station, where the trains arrived at. And I wanted to include both arrivals and departure tracks. And when I got down to this part right here, I wanted Park Avenue, the west side of Park Avenue, to line up with the Park Avenue tunnel. And I also came to this realization that I didn't want to model all of the tracks at Grand Central Terminal, but I did want to model the return loop, because in 1926 the trains would have been coming into the station over here in this area right in here would have been the arrivals area. Just above it would have been the Biltmore Hotel. At one time the arrivals building was going to be a separate building, but they later incorporated it into the Biltmore and had access passageways between the main concourse here, this circle representing the information booth in the main concourse, and then there was passageways over to Grand Central Station where trains arrived at, and you could have your baggage taken from here straight upstairs to the Biltmore, which was occupying basically this space over here. So when I got down here, the Park Avenue is here, and there's the information booth. And up here, my tracks didn't line up with where Park Avenue actually is. And I do want to include Lexington Yard, or Lex Yard. Lexington Avenue is right along in here, and the Waldorf Astoria is above it, and underneath the Waldorf Astoria in this area here is where the yard tower was, two-level yard tower. And what I did discover when doing this is that I wanted to be able to see into Grand Central Terminal, into the interior, but I also wanted to see the exterior. And I was having a hard time. I was debating with myself, should I have a cutaway here? Should I have a cutaway here? Should I expose the tracks? Should I not show the interior? Should I just have the exterior? And I decided that I was going to show the exterior 42nd Ave, Park Avenue, and the Park Avenue Viaduct here on this side, and have a access way to get around the terminal on this side, so that when you're standing here, you're looking into the interior on this side. So you would have the interior view here of the terminal on the upper level, and on a second level below this would be the lower suburban level. So you'd be able to see both interior and exterior. Interior from this side on both the upper level and lower level, and on this side you would see the exterior from the 42nd Street side of the building, which is right along here, as well as the bridge going across 42nd Street, the Park Avenue viaduct bridge for the road traffic. And then over here we'd have some swing bridges or drop down bridges of some kind. And I drew a smaller version of the same thing down here without any tracks or anything. I always wanted to include Lexington Yard so I could show track 61, which is, I believe, this track right here. And, maybe make a scene where there's a presidential car being offloaded into the elevator, which would be modeled up here somewhere. Anyway, this Park Avenue here doesn't line up with where I put the tracks, which is I put the tracks here and Park Avenue's over here. This is supposed to be over here. It's just too big of a mistake to fix it by, erasing it. Would have been a huge mess. So I'm going to move on to the next picture I drew, which didn't quite solve the problem yet. I had originally designed this layout so that the lower level, suburban level, had its own staging yard at this end of the layout. And then there was going to be another staging yard into Park Avenue Tunnel, where it comes out at 95th or 96th Street, whatever it is. But I revisited that, thinking to myself that it would be a lot less complicated if I just had a huge ramp, a very, very long ramp that went for several feet at at 3% grade down to the express level, instead of having two separate staging yards, which would make it really complicated to get all the equipment. I mean, the rolling stock for this type of layout would be massive. So in just a moment, I'll come back and show you what my idea is. So here we are at the Park Avenue tunnel opening. The tunnel opening is right here in this space. This line right here represents the tunnel opening underneath Park Avenue. And Park Avenue would be on either side of here, running uphill and over this scene. But I'm going to show the scene as a cutaway so that you can see inside of Park Avenue Tunnel. Now, Park Avenue Tunnel had three separate tunnels. There was a tunnel for this track, a tunnel for this track, and a tunnel for the two center tracks, and there were no switches in between the tracks inside the tunnel. I took a little bit of I decided that it would be easier for me, for my model, to have a simple interchange. I don't want any double slips or crossovers or anything complicated like that. I don't want to have too many derails in this area. I'd like the operations to be smooth. Any one of these four tracks could have traffic on going in either direction. And I would model an interlocking tower inside of the tunnel. And this roof of the tunnel here wouldn't exist, but I put in some typical supports that you would have seen in New York City, and represented the little downhill here. I looked at the original 1909 plans, and the ramps, the declines to the lower suburban level were at 3% in the original. So I drew these as a 3% downhill here. And so the tracks coming out of the suburban level would be these tracks here and these tracks here, and they would rejoin the mainline tracks that are existing in the Park Avenue Tunnel, which are circled here. These it says level 2 upper express level. I know that's an odd sentence, but what it means is these four tracks remain at a level height. They don't change in they don't go up 1 degree or down 2 degrees or whatever. They stay level on the layout. And these four tracks go to the express level. these two tracks here and these two tracks here go down to the suburban level. And I included some short tracks here and here for maintenance of way equipment. And this Park Avenue interlocking, I just simply called it Park Interlocking, which is represented by this. This is the side view of the building. This is the bird's eye view. And that would just make it easier to get rolling stock your trains down to the lower level at the beginning of the Park Avenue tunnel, rather than waiting for the throat of the yard. I'd really rather not model the actual throat of the yard because it is extremely complex, and it has lettered tracks and numbered tracks, and it's two tracks going downhill here and one track going downhill over there and another track going downhill over there, and it's just very complex. And I think for a model railroad, you want to reduce complexity. You want to be able to access the switches. Double slip switches are hard to model, and if you're handling double slip switches, it's very, very complex. I'd rather have regular off-the-shelf switches that they cost less and they're less prone to derailments. So after I went over these two pictures, I sat and thought for a really long time what I wanted the entire layout to look like, because as I've said in a previous episode, that I had grand plans from the very first episode. I believe I said I had grand plans for the overall model railroad, which is funny. You can see through this page to the next page. You can almost see it, but just give me a moment and I'll be right back with the big plan. So welcome back. This is the big plan, the single sheet plan for the entire model railroad, and it's very large and very complex, but the elements are all there that I wanted to include. So I have over here, sorry, I'm really shaky, getting old, can't hold the camera straight, but over here we have the cutaway looking into the back of the terminal, and the place where you can stand inside of and watch trains come and go from the you got the station tracks on the arrival tracks over here and the arrival station here, and you'd be able to see all the tunnels and passageways linking the main concourse, the express level, on to the arrivals tracks. And if you were to walk through the access point over to this side, you'd be able to look down the Park Avenue viaduct towards the front of the building and see the exterior of Grand Central Terminal and a little bit of the roadway going around this side. I'm not going to put in Vanderbilt, and I'm not going to put in the Biltmore Hotel. This whole area I want to be able to see. I want to see all the tracks exposed, the return loop coming through the backside of the building and underneath the building and everything. But from this side, from the cutaway side, you'd be able to see into the terminal, and I'm not sure if I'm going to cover the return loop or not. I think I'd like to have it open for maintenance purposes so that I can get in there and clean the track. On this side over here, we would have all the tracks would be exposed on this side, and a little bit of the tracks at the very ends of the platforms would be exposed over here. I don't know how many of the tracks I'll show over here when I get the final design done. Over here at Lex Yard, you'll be able to see the secret stations. This was in 1926. The secret station wasn't there. it was these all these tracks led into a coal fire power plant that took up this space, and the reason why they're there, I believe, was to deliver coal and pick up ash from the coal plant, the electric station. But down here at this next element would be the Park Avenue Tunnel, completely uncovered. You'd be able to see all the tracks inside of it. Not sure what I would have on this side of the layout, if it'd be a backdrop or it'd be painted black or whatever. But after the Park Avenue Tunnel, I'd like to see the city wrapping around over here to the Harlem River. And this would be the bridge that goes over the Harlem River is a double lift drawbridge where there's two side-by-side bridges that are lifted straight up. I've never seen it open, but it exists as a drawbridge or a lift bridge if you like. And then coming around over here is a strong arm tower where the Hudson line would curl off and go into a staging yard over here. There was a roundhouse over here, and I love steam era stuff, so I would probably still include the roundhouse and the turntable and everything just in an abandoned state, or maybe just full of old steam locomotives waiting to be scrapped, because by then this whole thing would have been electrified. So the Hudson line curves off over here. There will be a seam break in here because this roadway is elevated above the tracks. And this roadway would have trolley lines in it. And I got really ambitious with all the lines inside a Mont Haven yard. And it's causing a big problem. There's so much pencil in there that it's rubbing all over the place and making a big mess. But this is the track right here that represents the Y that exists right here in this space. And the Harlem line would curl around and go down this way. These streets over here with the trolley tracks on them would be elevated above this whole area. So the streets would go over the Harlem line. And all these tracks, the Park Avenue Tunnel and the Harlem line, all the main lines are all 4 tracks, and I didn't really want to sit there and draw all 4 tracks because of what happened over here at Mont Haven, where it got really messy and dirty because imagine 4 tracks being drawn in pencil would make a big mess. And so I'm glad I didn't do that part. But there'd be trolley tracks coming across here or going down here, and there'd be a little alleyway down here with like I've seen before abandoned trolley tracks down in there. Give me one moment and I'll be right back with you. Yeah, so I'm back now. I could hear my wife's alarm clock going off, and I had to go stop it. So another thing I thought I could put down in this alleyway is a sweeper or a plow or a garbage train. There's a lot of maintenance equipment on trolley lines at that time that could be stored at yards, but also could be stored on spurs within the system. And there would be storefronts along either side of this loop of track. There's a trolley that can come down here, go down here, and turn around and go back down this way, or it can come down this way and go off that way, or it can come down here and come around all this and go back like that. That's primarily what I wanted to achieve, was have a place where a trolley could come down out of staging, come down this road, turn around in this area and go back into staging, which these are backdrops right here and to separate the scenes. And there would be a staging yard running from here down to here. So the Harlem line, 4-track main line, would come down through here, go across the Bronx River, which is this river right here. It would go into some sort of seam break. I'm not exactly sure what that seam break is going to look like. I was thinking that this could be a forested area along the Bronx River with a creek coming down to it that meets it here. But anyway, right in here, we start to see that the Harlem line goes down and around and underneath these tracks right here. This is the New Haven Railroad interchange. So from right here, there is one bridge that goes over the Harlem line for southbound trains, but all the northbound trains and the two center track trains, they go up on this side, so they don't cross over the Harlem line. Only one of the tracks does. And then it goes around this the end of this peninsula. This edge between these two parts is really, really close together. This area coming up here is the Northeast Corridor currently. But even back in 1920s, it went to the, this is the two tracks that went to the Hell's Gate Bridge, and also to this port scene that's down here. So this port scene's on the wrong side of it. When I was drawing it, I really didn't think about it too much. All I wanted was to include a scene with New Rochelle Station. There is an island platform at New Rochelle, so there's the station, a platform, and then three tracks, and then there's a platform, and the fourth track goes around the backside of the platform, and there's a large stone wall along this side. And this area over here is elevated, so you'd be looking down into the station from the edge of the layout. And then it goes to another station along here someplace, and this would all have a backdrop behind it. I kind of ran out of space for that curve. I wanted the curve coming out of New Rochelle to be large and sweeping, and I kind of ran out of space on the page. But it's still a 4-track main line, and it comes down through here, and then it goes behind this. If you're standing at this edge of the layout, you'd see it go behind this backdrop right here. And the port area, I just wanted to make, a typical New England port, very heavily influenced by other railroads in the past that have port scenes. Like I've been watching a lot of Jason Jensen's trains, and him building his port scene on his layout, and I'm inspired by that. I think it'd be nice to have an East River port for the New Haven Railroad somewhere on the layout. And this is just a first draft. I don't know what it's going to really look like in the end, but the point is that from here the New Haven Railroad disappears behind this backdrop and goes down into a staging yard that would be basically underneath this area of the layout. And then there would be another staging yard that would run from here along underneath also to this area up here at the where the Hudson line goes along the Harlem River. But yeah, that's what I've come up with so far. Like I said, this is just the first draft, but the main thing was at Grand Central Terminal, I wanted to be able to see into the terminal, and I also wanted to see the exterior. I wanted to be able to run trains on some part of the terminal, but not the entire thing, because it's overwhelming and you can't reach. If you were standing here and you wanted to reach this track over here, good luck, because if you're modeling this in HO, there's no way. I think even with T-track, it would be hard to get to this track over here from the edge of the layout. There would definitely have to be access panels along here. And the other idea I had was to make this elevated above the layout here so that operators could be in this whole part of the layout. It just depends on the size of room that you're going to use. You don't have to put in turns in places where I did. These are all just rough sketches. I'm just trying to fit everything, all the elements that I want on a single page. It doesn't have to look like this whole thing. Well, thank you for watching another episode of how I would model Grand Central Terminal, and I'd really like to hear some feedback on what you think of this design. I watch I'm not sure what his name is, but his channel is M Peter LL or 2, or I'm not sure if it's a Roman numeral or what it. I can't tell, but he's been a big inspiration to me. That English fella. I think his. I'm not like sponsored by him or anything, but I think his website is Superior Model Railroads, and he does wonderful work, and I'm very inspired by his work. Thank you for watching the Armchair Model Railroader. I'm Daniel Bridge, and you have a good day. Thank you.